Welcome to the Social Community Show, where it's our goal to help you learn, grow, and transform into the person you want to become. On today's episode, we're talking with Matt Fritzsche of Amplified Minds. Matt is an Intra-Entrepreneur. We'll get into what that means in the beginning of the episode. Hybrid has started many businesses over the past few years and really found a lot of good success. It was a really great conversation with Matt. We bounced back and forth between some of his businesses, some of his passion projects, and his really dark bouts with depression and being told he can't achieve goals he set out by, of all people, his teachers. And that's really, it's really kind of shitty. And, you guys out there, if people are out there telling you, your teachers, your family or whatever, you can't achieve things and to change your goals, I would really, really try to ignore them. A lot of times people will tell you these things aren't realistic or you can't do it because they've never done it and they don't know how to do it. There's people out there that been down that road and done those things. Reach out to them and see what you got to do to achieve your goals. Don't shrink your goals or mitigate your goals or let other people tell you your goals or your dreams are too big. They're not. Maybe find somebody to help you out there. But we go through a lot of great things with Matt. It was really fun. There may be some choppiness in the interview a little bit. We had a little bit of an internet connection problem. I'm sorry about any of the audio cutting out, but onto the show and really enjoy my kind of wild ride with Matt of Amplified Minds. All right. Welcome, Matt, to the Social Community. And thanks for coming on. Really appreciate having you here.
Yeah. Thanks, Tyson. Appreciate you having me.
No problem. I'm really glad you reached out. I think it's going to be a really fun episode. And I think it's going to help a lot of people. I'm really excited to kind of dig in here a little. Yeah. But I guess I want to start when I was looking you up and do some research and stuff. It seems like you're a pretty big Porsche fan.
Yes. Yep. That is it. It started my brother way back when I was like 12 years old. I used to go flip houses with my brother. He would use to put in the tile, to do the electrical work and that kind of stuff. And it was just a fun job for me to hang out with my brother. But he had a collection of Porsches, and it started that really love of the Porsche brand. And now we've got two of them, and
nice.
Yeah, my browsing history in the last 24 hours has been old school Porsches because I think cruise down the road in one of those. So yeah.
You looking at picking up something to restore or something kind of ready to go?
Yeah, I would love either, but I think restoring one would be really cool. I think that'd be a fun project I'd love to do sometime in the future.
That does sound like a really fun project. Have you done anything, any racing or anything like that, or any kind of events or anything with your Porsches or some kind of other things?
I've been in some car shows, and that's just about it. I want to get into it. I actually have a next door neighbor who, if you know anything about Porsches,
yes.
they're true racing car that's street legal.
Yes.
I know they have their 918 Spider, but the GT3 RS is just bought. And he bought it brand new, and he did it specifically to race. So I'm a little jealous. It's yellow with the black detail, and when he's pulling up to everything from church to community events, and he's got that, and I pull up in my Cayman, I feel a little jealous. But
that's okay. You'll get there. You're doing such good things, man. You'll get there. You'll get yours.
Thanks, Tyson.
Yeah. But that's funny. I'm a big car guy. So when I saw that, I was like, there we go. I like this. I like that. I don't know how much this relates to anybody, but that new, I want to call it Tesla killer, that Porsche. Oh my God.
The Taycan, the new electric Porsche.
All electric. Oh, yeah. That is pretty sweet. That is pretty sweet.
Yeah. If I had a little bit more of this, I'd be on that pre-order list, but
you'll get there. You're still, like I said, you're doing such good things. You're going to get there, my friend. You're helping so many people. It's amazing. And when I was looking up to, I seen this Intra-Entrepreneur thing. I've never heard of that. What is that? Can you explain it to me a little bit, what that word is and what that's about?
Yeah, I really love the question. Intra-Entrepreneur is it's a project that my wife is really taking on. And it's something that we're working on together. Of course, I've got my baby with my business partner, Brian Hubbard and Ryan Fritzsche, and we're working on this. We've got another business, but Intra-Entrepreneur, the reason why we're really excited about Intra-Entrepreneur is because it's something well, first of all, let's talk about Intra-Entrepreneur. An Intra-Entrepreneur is that entrepreneurial mindset, an individual who's making a difference within an organization. We
Oh,
personally believe that not everybody is fit to be an entrepreneur. Nor does
I
it
agree.
make sense.
I agree.
If everyone was an entrepreneur and the success rate of these startups is as it is, we have a lot of people who aren't doing well
No.
and they're not succeeding. And I think, what we're trying to inspire is that it's cool to be an entrepreneur as well.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an entrepreneur to be that standout individual.
Mm-hmm.
You can also be that person who makes a difference within. So what Intrapreneur is we're actually, we sell clothes. We're trying to create a community. So we sell clothes, we sell accessories with different sayings that speak well. Entrepreneurs are the ones who make them happen. So we do different stuff like that. We're actually currently working on doing a giveaway where we're going to give away a Porsche. So
I've seen that. How can I get in on this?
How do you get in on it? Right. What we're currently working on right now is every $5 that's spent within Intrapreneur, and intrapreneur.shop is where you find it.
Okay.
For every $5 spent on intrapreneur.shop, you get a free entry to win the car.
Oh.
So what we're really wanting to build this towards is we want to give it to a deserving individual, a hardworking individual. And we initially started out with, for every $5 you spend, we're going to give you a ticket, a free ticket to enter into the drawing. But now what we're looking at doing is trying to hit a quota. If we can reach a certain point, we're going to start. Now everyone will be involved, and we're going to send out an email to everyone who's purchased before, but to send in applications. And then we're going to pick an individual who deserves to feel like, let's call it the boss, right? The CEO.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the spin that we're taking on it right now, but we're brand new. It is something that we're very passionate about. The reason why is because I know I'd be considered an entrepreneur myself. I've got my businesses, but I can also attribute a lot of success I've had for working for my brother.
I think the internet connection is a little choppy here. Go ahead.
So a big reason why Intrapreneur sits well with me is because I consider myself heavily an entrepreneur. My brother and I have built a business called Merchant Solution Services. We're a high-risk merchant processing company. So we help companies with high-ticket items and who are susceptible to chargebacks. We get them into more places, have more solutions to take on more, credit card transactions, right? Basically build more for their business. But with that, I'd be considered an entrepreneur because my brother is technically 100% the owner. I just came in and I helped build a lot of the infrastructure and take care of a lot of the nitty-gritty stuff that needed to happen to build the business. So although I get paid like I own the company, because him and I have split a lot of the shares on that business. For me, I'd consider it more of an entrepreneurial venture, and that entrepreneurial venture allowed me to build the capital I needed to start my own businesses. Okay. So it's a message that really sits well with me and with my wife. So we're trying to really give back to hardworking individuals now and make it the cool thing to work for someone else and be the implementer and help these visionaries have a successful dream. So
no, I love that. I say it all the time. I just love that message. We need good number two guys. We need good policemen, firemen, teachers. Everybody can't be an entrepreneur. Everybody doesn't want to be an entrepreneur, but I do see that a lot of people are like, I feel like I'm not kind of doing things right. I don't have a side hustle. I'm not trying to build a business. I just want to be, I'm like, be that. Just be that. That's fine. You don't have to be somebody that's, got this 3-4 side hustles, or you're trying to start a business and, on your off hours or something like that. Like, be a good number two, get out there and be an amazing, whatever you want to be, not what's cool, what's hype, what's hip right now, or what's kind of trending. I love that message. That really resonates with me. And that's something I like to talk about a lot too.
Yeah. Well, good. No, I'm very excited about it. And that is intrapreneur.shop. And it's INTRA
Right. I'll link that in the show notes for everybody. You guys want to check that out. I love that. I was on there and I was poking around and I get some really nice stuff on there. And I really, like I said, I really like you guys' message and what you're kind of heading with that. It's really, really awesome.
Yeah, well, thank you. And I mean, we're very new. And we're trying to come up with statements that really resonate with the community. Because like I said, I mean, right now you see it, there's businesses called Entrepreneur, Founder, Entrepreneur spelled ENTRPRNR. And it's just everything, like you said, is so, a lot of people are questioning, well, where am I? Because I don't have the side hustle. I don't have my business. I haven't broken off from, this 9-to-5 career. But nobody's standing up for those people who are really making a difference within the business. And, so it is very new. And if anybody has any ideas on, let's say, phrases that might help inspire them, let us know. I mean, send us some feedback, because we really want to deliver that community feel back to any individual who's interested in working for someone else and being that implementer. So thanks, Tyson.
Yes. Yeah, no, absolutely. That's great. Yeah. Pull the community, get that. You're going to find some great ideas there. I know, like I said, I know there's something there. There's some good there. And we need great number twos out there. We really, really do, to help support the guys that want to take the risk and the guys that want to be out there in the front lines. And it ain't fun and it ain't glamorous. Like, I mean, you know what it's like to run a business and deal with the day-to-days and the stresses and the long days and the late nights. And it's not built for, everybody's not built for it. And it's okay. If you're one of those people, I'm telling you right now, it's okay. Like a buddy of mine, he finally figured it out. He's like, listen, I'm going to be a great number two. And I'm cool with that. And once he realized that, like, he really kind of started honing into to being happy and to making his work more fulfilling. Cause he was always like, I gotta be the boss. I gotta be this thing. And it was like an inner conflict with, like, I don't want to be the boss. I'm not really good at that, but this is what everybody tells me. I've got to be the boss. I've got to be the entrepreneur. I've got to scale it up. He's like, no, I've really figured it out. I'm going to be the number two, and I'm going to be a good ass number two.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. And I look at it, and there's all sorts of perspectives that you can take, especially with this message. And I look at the entrepreneurs, and I know this because I've been there, where you're not taking paychecks. You're,
right. Oh, yes.
Instead, that you are providing for other good working individuals and their families. So for us, we have to limit our ability to live so that we can provide for other people to live well. And for me, I'm great with it and I love it. But how much better of a situation is it for the other individuals who know, I get to afford a house. I get to, go out. I get to, put a new loan on a house because money's coming in, to where I'm over here going, any loan officer is going to look at me and, they want to see my 2 years tax history, which 1 year I put all my money back into a business. The next year I made a lot of money, but then I put the next year a lot of money back into a business. So it's always up and down, and there's all sorts of different things that factor into having that, let's say that I know I don't necessarily like the word security, but having that security, you have the ability to live a good life how you want to live by being a great number two. And sometimes being that entrepreneur just pushes you to that next level, where there's a lot more factors that are always thrown at you, a lot more different kind of stresses. And so it's great to be both. I love it. Is both. It definitely is. Both people have a place, and both are just as important. I wouldn't be here without our team now. So
absolutely. I mean, the guys around me, same thing. I couldn't do half the things I do, but it's also good too, to kind of cut your teeth, before you kind of step out to entrepreneur, in being a good number two or three or whatever, a good soldier, a good follower. If you can really embrace that role and say, listen, I'm gonna spend the next 2, 3, 5 years cutting my teeth in the work, in the grunt work, mopping the floors and doing these things. When I become the entrepreneur, when I become the boss, I'm going to know what it's like. And I'm going to be able to come from a place of, I was there, and you want to get down and dirty, let's get down and dirty. I'm not afraid of that. I came from there. And I think that's also a really good thing. If you can kind of push your ego aside a little bit and say, listen, I'm just going to cut my teeth now. I'm going to be the boss soon. But if I can figure out what's here and I can figure out how to be a good follower, then I know how to become a good leader when it's my time to lead.
I think that's great. It goes along with, there's a concept out there. The best teachers are the ones who are asking the questions, not the ones who are teaching, right? It's the same thing here. The people who are willing to get down and get dirty are the ones who are actually learning. They're the ones who are learning how to be the boss. So when it's their time to take over as the boss, they know how to do everything. It's not a learning curve. It's, I know the system, and I'm going to implement the system, and I'm going to bring a team on to help me do it. And I look at a lot of the entrepreneurs now with, especially with that message, and think that every single entrepreneur has the ability to be their own boss without even being the boss. It's just a matter of, am I coming in, providing my ideas, being creative, helping out the rest of the teams, even if it's not necessarily my responsibility, just speaking up and maybe offering a voice or an opinion or helping out where I can, taking on different kinds of roles. And I really think that every individual has the ability to be their own boss without being the boss. And it's that mentality, it's that perception.
No, I love that. That's a good thing. I hear that a lot. Especially in the workforce where, well, that's not my job and that's not my thing. But I like that when you're out there taking responsibility and kind of propping up and supporting your fellow coworkers, that really makes the team and the whole organization a lot better, stronger place and a lot more pleasant place to work.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, speaking of what you got going here with the Amplified Minds, tell me about this. What is this about? How did this start? Give me that story a little bit.
Okay. How much my story do you want to know?
I want it all.
Okay. I like to, now there's a big wave of the why, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone's starting to talk about the why and finding that purpose, that getting star, the reason why you do things. And I do believe in that strongly. So I'll lead into it and then it'll kind of get into where we are with Amplified Minds.
Okay.
My history, where I am today, I can attribute back to a few different stories and examples when I was younger. So I'll share a couple of the stories, and I'll talk about how I got out of them and how it led me into where I am now.
Okay.
So a lot of who I am today, I can attribute to my 5th grade teacher. When I was in 5th grade, we had a school assignment. That school assignment was to put down, we were to cut out a little cut out of our hand, and we were to put our number one goal we wanted to achieve on that cut out of our hand. Mm-hmm. And that cut out of our hand went right on the school wall, the main school wall of our elementary school. So at that time, I wanted to be a professional soccer player.
Nice.
It was at that time the most important thing for me. I was ecstatic about it, as you can imagine. I mean, when you're in 5th grade, you think that the world was limitless in its possibilities. There was no limitation on what you could or could not be.
That's the truth.
So, yeah, and I wanted to be that professional soccer player. So I was so excited. I wrote it on my hand on the day where we were putting it on the wall. Mm-hmm. I remember being so excited thinking all the girls are going to look at me and be like, oh, I want to marry that guy because he's going to be the pro soccer player. And I was going to tell everybody, oh, this guy's got big ambitions. We should all be more like him. That's a great goal. I can't wait for you to achieve that goal. And I remember her getting to mine, and she looked at mine, and her smile went to a frown. And she looked at me in the eyes and she said, Matt, I'm so sorry, but the odds are heavily against you. There are millions and millions of other people who are going after that same goal. And I just don't think that it's going to be good for you to keep pursuing that goal because you're just not going to achieve it.
Are you kidding me?
Right?
Wow.
Yeah. And you got to think as a 5th grader, how influenced you are by your surroundings, the people, your environment.
Yeah.
Your teachers.
Were you crushed by that?
Oh, I was destroyed.
Oh my God.
I didn't want to go to soccer for weeks after that. And
what was I'm sorry to cut you off here. What was that like? What was your parents saying? What was your self-talk? What was going on? Do you remember?
At that point, I didn't express a lot to my parents. I actually overcame that. I now tell my parents every single thing about me, which my wife doesn't really like, but but at that point I put it in here. I put it in here and I put it in here, and it ate at me. It started to really affect. Actually, Brian Tracy talks about how a lot of negativity is learned.
Yeah.
You grow up, you don't think the stove's hot until you touch it enough times and go, ouch, that hurts.
Right.
And same thing with moments like this. You think you can do anything you want in life until those people start to tell you no.
Oh, man.
And especially a teacher. I mean, that's one of the most influential people that you see every single day. And for her to tell you cannot be who you want to be, it hurt.
Yeah.
And it took about 2 weeks of me. Actually, it was at a point where every single day in school, I was making up some reason to be sick. I was, waking up, telling my mom my stomach hurts and all this stuff just to get out of school because I didn't want to go face it.
Was it the teacher you didn't want to face, or the reality of what she said?
I think both.
Yeah.
I think both, because for a little bit there, I wasn't going to soccer. And I remember actually I was on a highly competitive team. Mm-hmm. For a while there, we were ranked in the top 10 in the nation on a soccer team, and we were good. And I remember actually getting a phone call from my coach who said, Fritzsche, what's going on? That's my last name, Fritzsche.
Right.
But Fritzsche, what's going on? And I told him, I don't feel so well, especially with soccer, because my teacher told me I can't be a professional soccer player, and I love soccer, but I'm not very good apparently. And that's how I associated it with.
Right.
I looked at rather than basing it off of my own performance every single day, I took it as a end result. I saw the end result, and apparently it wasn't for me. And therefore I judged myself and my value based on the end result that, I couldn't be who I wanted to be.
Wow.
So it affected my performance. But I remember my coach telling me, and this affects who I am now today, of course, but I remember my coach telling me, Matt, you have every capability in the world to be one of the best, because you're good enough now to learn the basics and everything else to eventually become that professional soccer player you want to be. And you can't listen to your teacher. But I'm going to fast forward a couple.
Sure.
And I'll do kind of a conglomerate of a couple different stories when I was about in ninth grade. In ninth grade, I was heavily influenced by my brother who had that collection of Porsches that we were talking about.
Yeah.
And one thing he challenged me to do is to write down my top goals on right here.
Oh, you still have it?
Yeah, I still have it.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's crinkled up. But it says goals on there, and on there some of the examples. And this is something he challenged me to do. On there, I make $600,000 a year. This was by the time I was 25, by the way.
Okay.
I own a Porsche 911 GT, which at that point, that was the Carrera GT.
Right.
It was a hit, but now it's the GT. The GT2 RS is now my new favorite one. But I live in a custom home, a $2 million home. I have a degree in finance economics, and I have a wonderful wife and kids. But this was something I wrote down when I was 12 years old. And
how many?
Remember,
one sec. How many of those have you knocked off that list?
I will tell you that I don't believe in realistic goals. I believe in goals that stretch me. If they're not large enough to scare us, they're not large enough, right?
I agree 100%.
Yeah, I will not tell you that I've come 100% of the way to all of these, but I've knocked off a couple. So I don't have the GT2 RS, but I have 2 Porsches in my garage, and I've got a custom truck that's sitting there too. So I'm proud of that. I'm not quite to 600,000 a year, but I was right on that tipping point last year, which felt great. And this year, we have high expectations to beat that out. I live in a house. It's not the custom built, $2 million house, but it's in a neighborhood that will allow my daughter to grow up and have lots of friends. It's in a great community filled with entrepreneurs that I want to be like. So the one question mark on this whole thing is the one that I have a degree in finance and economics, because one of our businesses took off right at the beginning of my college era. Mm-hmm. It required a lot of my time. So I stepped away from school. I still believe in school. I believe in education. But because I became so busy, I put that off on the side. I educate myself in different ways. I learned how to speed read, and I can Read a book in under about 30 to 45 minutes is what I can do. Wow. Using different tactics from the world record speed reading holder. That's one of my mentors.
Awesome.
I try to stay educated in other ways, and I push people to school all the time because I believe it's vital and necessary. Mm-hmm. For me, it just was one of those things that it didn't work out quite the way. And then the other one, I have a wonderful wife who I love, and we have our first daughter who is 6 months. So
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's just the best. Those are fun times, especially I think I made like 2 or 3, 4. Oh, that's just so much fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
So quick question. So you almost hit the 600. How come you haven't adjusted it to a higher number?
I think that's a very great question. I actually personally have, but I will not change it on this note card.
Okay. That's like that nostalgia kind of memorabilia.
That's correct. This was when I was 12 years old, and I've kept it with me every single day. So I have changed it. A lot of my goals have changed. I do believe that as you grow closer, a lot of stuff should adapt. If it hasn't, you're not setting the goals the right way. No,
you're not. Yeah.
Right. But now it's changing to a little bit different kind of goals. Like for me now, as weird as it sounds, how much I make doesn't matter as much as how many people I affect.
Absolutely. I love that.
if I could turn my computer around, which I can't, I'd show you that one of my goals now is to affect, I'm sorry, I'm getting let me, I want to make sure that doesn't come through on the other end, but I was getting a call. Sorry for that.
No problem.
One of the goals now is I want to influence 1 billion people in their lives, whether it's my own personal self or, the system that we create to go out and to influence the masses.
That's beautiful.
And that's a lot of what Amplified Minds is. I want to own a building on the side of the freeway filled up with those entrepreneurs that I was talking about and accountability partners. And I want to have a system where everyone in my system have the opportunity to make more money than I do. So as weird as that sounds, I've kind of switched from me to how many people can I help and how many people can I impact.
That's the shift, man, that makes so much beauty in the world. And you'll be more successful, even if it's not in dollars, in that than you'll ever dream of, ever imagine.
Yeah. And actually, I think that's a good transition into the rest of the story with this.
Yes, absolutely.
Is that fair?
Yeah,
So,
go back to it.
Yeah, when I was in ninth grade, I assume it was ninth grade. It was about when I was 12 when I wrote this out. But I wrote this out and I used to put it on the desk, on the corner of the desk in every single day at school. And I had one of my teachers, again, who came up. She looked at it. She asked me, Matt, what is this? And I said, this is what I want to achieve when I'm 25 years old. Mm-hmm. And I remember her pulling her chair around, sitting right in front of me, looking me dead in the eyes and saying, Matt, I'm so sorry, but you're not smart enough. You don't have the grades to get into a good enough college, to get a good enough job to ever achieve these kind of goals. And she said, if I were you, I would change your goals because you're going to be disappointed and you're going to end up being hurt because you won't be able to achieve those goals.
Oh my God, man, you're 0 for 2 with teachers, bud.
Oh my gosh. The same year I had another teacher who pulled me in to my counselor with the principal, a couple other teachers and my parents to tell me your son is not going to succeed in life because he's not spending enough time on science, on his science class, literally on his science class. And he's not going to be able to, again, get those grades to succeed in life. So they told me I had to cut out soccer. I had to cut out this daydreaming afterwards, which included reading, by the way, reading success books. And I needed to quit dreaming about building businesses and focus on working on my science. So, yeah.
What did that do to you? What did that feel like? The same thing?
Oh,
you kind of learned from the first one.
Worse. A lot worse.
Yeah.
Because at this point, when I was 12, 13 years old, I was looking at my brother who had a successful business. I actually lived with my brother kind of off and on throughout the summer. I'd spend, a week or so at a time with my brother. And it was all about dreaming big. Again, we were flipping houses, like I mentioned, and we'd go to the place in his brand new Porsche and one of them that he collected, right?
Yeah.
And we would hang out in the car. We'd go to work. We'd have fun at work. We'd go back, and the next day we'd wake up and he would say, let's not go to work today. Let's go hang out with my wife and son who we just had, and let's go to one of the theme parks here, Lagoon, right? And I loved the lifestyle, and I started to see that there was a lot more opportunity than even soccer. So I started changing those goals from I want to be a professional soccer player to how do I build a business that allows me the freedom that my brother has with his family. So for an individual to now take that shift of mine from pro soccer player to now build a business, and my brother didn't have good grades, by the way. He had C's and B's in college and in high school. So I thought I can be this person. But now to have my teachers tell me that I couldn't even be that person, it had a much deeper effect.
Wow.
And I'll tell you that is where, to be very transparent, that's where a lot of sadness came in. That's where a lot of depression came in, was starting to see that apparently I can't be anything that I want to be. I'm just not good enough. And it started to affect the value I saw in myself on, well, then who am I? And who can I be? I started to result in different things. Like I started to wonder if my lack of confidence was because I wasn't big enough and strong enough. I can't tell now. I used to be a pretty big guy in high school when I had these self-confidence issues. And that's where I turned to, was I have to be bigger than everyone else because that's the only way I had value. Yeah. And even when I was bigger, I was made fun of even more for being a big, strong meathead, right? And it really felt like for a strong period that I had no value in this world. Every time I started to think I was someone important because I could do something good, I was ridiculed, I was ragged on, and it ended up me having self-confidence issues because I couldn't be who I wanted to be in anything. And I'll tell you that some of the hardest points in life are when you're a 14, 15-year-old kid.
Yeah.
And you're starting to think, well, what if this world didn't need me? Maybe that's how I get their attention, is when I don't exist.
Wow.
And what kind of ways could I do it to affect as many people as possible? And I'll tell you that there are sickening thoughts that go through your head when you start thinking what kind of notes you could leave to affect all the people who've hurt you, to make sure that they hurt worse than you hurt when you're off this earth. And, luckily I feel like I've moved past it in a strong way. And a lot of times, like, I've had this conversation so many times that I've gotten very emotional, but I feel good about where I am today. And I feel good about that past and that history of where I've come from and how I've overcome it to be where I am today, to have a little bit more confidence in who I am.
Yeah.
So
when you're in that dark place, what was the self-talk like? What was kind of running through your head? And then what was the point, if you can remember, when you kind of came out of that? What was that shift? What happened?
Okay. So I feel like there's two questions there.
Yes.
What was it like when I was feeling that?
Yeah.
Like, what was the self-talk?
What was the self-talk? What was going through your head? What was kind of happening? And then what was the shift? What that changed that?
I think that's a great question. That a lot of the self-talk that happened when I was feeling that way, as sad as it was you're not good enough. Nobody wants you here. Nobody likes you. A lot of stuff was pure anger. I'll tell you, it was if only I was bigger, if only I was stronger, if only, I knew how to tear people down. And I hate being that guy to admit that, they were pure evil thoughts. But when you're so helpless, there's a lot of stuff that you turn to that it's just rough. I mean, I believe that is a mental illness that's rough to overcome, because it puts you in a place where you do things you would never do.
Right. Did you think about harming yourself or others, or is it just
all the time?
Yeah,
all the time, especially myself. And it was harming myself in a way that would have drastically affect other people. And I think the evil part about it was I didn't want to hurt people physically. I wanted to hurt people emotionally, because I looked at them and thought they hurt me emotionally to the point where I am now, where I don't want to be on this earth, because what's the point? I see no value in myself. I'm not going to be successful. I'm going to be that guy who lives on the streets later on in life. Why go through that pain when I can get rid of it now? And, the terrible part about those thoughts was how could I affect these people emotionally when I'm off this earth to make them feel like they were to blame? And how could I do it in a way that they feel like I went through so much pain that it makes them go through so much more pain because I wasn't here anymore and because of the decisions that I would make. So that was a lot of the self-talk that happened during it. Do you have any questions on that I should ask?
It's just, it's just so deep. I mean, I'm glad you're still here, and I'm glad you got through that. What was the shift, or what happened? What was that moment that happened where that stopped and you started changing the way you thought about yourself and your self-worth and everything?
And I think this is the part that I'm most excited to talk about. I will tell you that this whole thing I've kept up inside until just recently. It's been a couple of years when I thought I felt strong enough to tell people who I was, because it definitely has affected who I am now. What actually happened, what came about was I stumbled on a book called Think and Grow Rich.
Ah, beautiful book.
Right, isn't it? It's a wonderful book. And I stumbled on that because it came to a point where my brother, who was that big influence in my life, I started asking him, well, how in the world did you become who you are now? And because clearly, I'm struggling and I want to be someone, but I don't know where to start. So the start, he's told me, well, why don't you go check out a couple of these books? And he shared a few different examples like Rich Dad Poor Dad, The Richest Man in Babylon, and Think and Grow Rich was on that list. And it just happened. It was the one business. It was the one success, the one self-help, whatever you want to call it, professional development book that my parents had on their bookshelf. So I picked it up one year. I read through it one time and came across that whole idea of law of attraction. You are or you become what you think about most of the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I read that book a couple more times and started to realize what made Napoleon Hill so powerful. It wasn't that Napoleon Hill knew everything.
No.
Yeah. Napoleon Hill was assigned by who? Carnegie, I believe, or J. Morgan or Carnegie. Wow.
It was
I'm failing to go back to that.
Andrew Carnegie, right? He challenged him to go out and interview everybody and hang out and stuff and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
He went and interviewed 500 of the wealthiest people, and I mean, those guys were just tycoons of their time, and a lot of their legacies still live on to this day.
Inner circle there of the group who, the Napoleon Hill group, I guess. Mm-hmm. Anyway, he wrote an extension on that, and one thing that he highlights is that Napoleon Hill was actually not the first candidate to go do that, but he was the first individual to say yes to the challenge. Because what Carnegie was telling, he actually had a bunch of people on his list who kept coming in, and he said, I have something I would like for you to do. I want you to go out and meet, these 500 individuals, and I want you to record why they're successful, but you're going to do it on your dime, and I'm not going to pay you to do it. But something you're going to learn, there's going to be so much opportunity out of this, and you're going to learn so much that you're going to want to be a part of it. Napoleon Hill didn't even blink. He said, yes, I will do that.
Right.
So Napoleon went out, and that's what he did. He started connecting. He started finding the people around him, and they started influencing his life in ways that he wouldn't expect. And of course, it's, now one of the most read success books or self-help books out there.
Yeah.
But for me, I started to notice the difference between my situation and let's call it Napoleon Hill situation. My situation is I had an environment with people who didn't believe that I had the potential. Napoleon Hill went out and he got himself into an environment that believed anything was possible for anybody.
Yes.
A lot of these guys who, were implants into the country and who made such a big difference, right? And they're these tycoons, like you mentioned. They knew that it was one of those mentalities of you. Of course, you can be anything you want to be. You just got to put in the work and take the action. Mm-hmm. So I took that message in, one of law of attraction. You become what you think about most of the time. I started getting rid of that evil self-talk, and I did affirmations like you wouldn't believe. I woke up every morning, I looked in the mirror, and I said to myself 20 times every single morning, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself. And then I started implementing other things like I will be successful. I am smart enough. I am good enough. And I'd cycle through those as it would go on. And I started to replace some of those other evil thoughts.
What was it like the first time or two when you looked at yourself in the mirror and said, those types of things? Was that really hard for you? Was that something you had a hard time believing?
Yes. Yeah. I can tell you there were several times I remember looking at myself angrily, saying I like myself. And I can tell you that there were many times where I was in tears, just straight tears, looking at myself going, I like myself. It was such a hard thing for me to accept because I was saying those while on the other side, there was a subconscious part of me who's like, but you're not. But you don't like yourself, but you're not good enough. And I remember literally being in front of the mirror many times in tears, trying to get out there and say, I like myself, I like myself, I like myself. Those affirmations slowly started to kick in. And I'm a huge believer in affirmations. I'm a huge believer in dream boards. I've got one of my vision boards hanging on the wall, everywhere.
Yeah, there it is.
Also on my Apple Watch face. It's the background of my phone too. Mm-hmm. You can't really see it there, but it's the background of my phone. And I put it everywhere because that's back to those affirmations, and I believe in them. And I'll tell you, a lot of my vision board items have come to fruition just based on constantly putting it in your mind, which is that law of attraction. Mm-hmm. So, but I think the bigger lesson in all of that was I started to recognize a big reason why Napoleon Hill was successful, and a lot of those people were successful, is because they created an environment of people who support them in what they do. It's one thing to try to get yourself to believe it. It's another thing to put yourself in that environment that believes it too. And I started finding all the different people who supported me, including my brother. I got a lot closer to my brother and having those kind of conversations because, there are those people all around you. But you have to do your part to kind of activate that process. Mm-hmm. You got to do your part to reach out to those people and say, this is what I'm working towards. Can you help me? Right. I think I think too often we think that people don't want to be bugged. They don't want to be asked for help. They don't want to, if you're asking them for help, it's almost like you're trying to sell them. Nobody likes that salesman, right? Mm-hmm. But really, people are good people and they want to help. So I think one of the big mistakes that I hear a lot of times with, especially with startups, mm-hmm. are these startup individuals who like to say, I'm the CEO of my own business. Mm-hmm. And they like to portray that their big business is much bigger than it is. Mm-hmm. But no individual wants to help out that person who feels like they've got it all figured out and they're not looking for help.
Right.
Versus, I can tell you fully, be very transparent and tell you, Intra-Entrepreneur, that business we talked about earlier, mm-hmm. it's brand spanking new. Right. I want to raise awareness for the entrepreneurs out there. I want to make that be the cool thing. Right now, we have this many sales. It's catching on like this because we're not doing the great enough job marketings, which we're trying to do right now. We're trying to make that push on marketing. Sure. But we're just starting out. We want to get to a point where I can afford to go out and give away a Porsche Cayman. Right now, we can't because that's not coming in. The sales aren't coming in. But I want to get to the point, and I want the community's help to deliver a product that inspires a community. And that's where we're at. I only bring that up not to put another plug in there for Intra-Entrepreneur, but
no, it's beautiful. That's self-awareness. My friend, sorry to cut you off here, but that's self-awareness. Yeah. That's where it's at. Knowing I don't got shit figured out and I'm not going to pretend, and I need to look for people that can help me get to a step or a place where I can make this something else. That's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah. And so I'll kind of wrap up a lot of the stuff because we've gotten into a lot of personal. I was in complete sadness. I was angry. I was evil. I would call myself evil. And now it was because I started to, I'm sorry, I just keep getting phone calls and it's like stopping my screen. So I want to make sure that we're good here. But
no, we're good.
The biggest reason I think the things that I would attribute my success to is the wonderful support of my family. I've now worked for every single one of my brothers who have all inspired me to be greater things. My parents are one of the greatest influences in my life because there was a point where I finally started to open up to my parents. And mm-hmm. I remember, there was one point where I felt ugly inside and I used to get made fun of for my nose, my ears, everything. I looked like a mouse. I looked like a fish and I was called that. And I remember my dad one day telling me, Matt, that's called character. And right. You can appreciate character. There are far uglier people than you who have much, or who have these incredible lifestyles and everything else. Like it's character. And the confidence you have within your character defines who you're going to be. Mm-hmm. So anyway, it was the help of those people, but then it was the help of people like my business partner, Brian, who's, one of the reasons one of the people that I attribute our success with Amplified Minds to. It was an individual who I could look at who would hold me accountable for getting stuff done. And it was that network of individuals who I got to tell them, this is who I want to be. This is where I want to get to in a year from now, and 5 years from now, and 10 years from now. And those are the type of individuals who would say, how can I help? How can I work with you to be that person? Or simply call me anytime you ever come in any of those, those walls and you don't know how to overcome them. I want to be here to help you. But it was that environment that I surrounded myself with successful individuals who ended up, well, now I have a great relationship with a business partner who we're going to be friends forever. We're best friends now, and our families are like this. And, I attribute a lot of our success with Amplified Minds and other things we have going on because of that relationship we have there. So ultimately, now to get into that first question of Amplified Minds.
Yeah.
Amplified Minds. We help coaches and speakers amplify their programs and duplicate their abilities by placing their clients into our accountability programs. Okay. So we basically go in, we assign accountability partners for these coaches to their clients, and these accountability partners check in throughout the week based on the coach's program, and we help the coach's clients in that program. We help them apply their knowledge. We help them learn more from within the program. And then we'll put those individuals into mastermind groups. And again, we amplify the coaches and speakers programs and help them duplicate themselves because now we take on the fulfillment of the program.
Okay.
We take on their clients and help their clients succeed while they go out and they find more clients and go find more speaking engagements and all that good stuff. And right now we have a 98.5% achievement rate with all their clients.
Amazing.
So if I were looking at a coach, I would say, how much or how much credibility could you gain? How much more business could you gain? How much more could your program help other people if they were achieving 98.5% of goals within your program? And that's what we do. And a reason why we do that goes, all the way to the beginning to now. We hold people accountable because that's what changed me in my life, was the network I surrounded myself with who held me accountable to get out and to take action and to be who I wanted to be. So we hold people accountable, and then we connect them in the form of mastermind groups, which helps them have this peer connection, helps them expand their network and have more eyes looking at them saying, you can do this. Let's help you do it.
Well, what are you guys doing that's getting you that 98%? What did you guys learn or find out or discover that's getting you that 98%?
Here's another piece of that transparency. I have no friggin' idea why. It works though. It's insane how much it works. Now we do have a particular system. We've come up with a set structure where we do have these accountability partners who learn the programs, and we have a text-based system which is 100%. It's close to 100% open rate. Text messages, and that's why we choose that platform versus like email and everything else. So we actually have a wonderful company that we've partnered up with to deliver this, where we use their software to push it out to all these different individuals. And what we basically do is we go in, we learn the system, we ask a series of questions that help lead them down that path to find the things they need to get done. And then we deliver the accountability to help them get it done. And then we put them through a process that collects their information and shows them their progress. So it's not just an individual who gets on the phone and says, hey, did you do it? Oh man, well, you better do it next week. Instead, we're delivering them real visible things to show them like, hey, look, you really need to improve if you want to be who you want to be at the end of the day. That's the first thing we collect is their end vision, right?
Okay.
It's that end goal, who they want to be using this program. And we honestly use a lot of that to get back to show these individuals who they want to be if they need help. Because a lot of times just beginning with that end in mind is what triggers that motivation. Knowing who you want to be in the end will trigger that motivation to get what you need to be done now. So we deliver that back, but for some reason we haven't had to do that too many times, or we have to tell people, hey, don't forget about who you want to be. Instead, we just ask the right questions throughout the week. We inspire them to get what they need to done. And at the end of the week, when we send out those surveys, which help track their progress, they say, we've done it. We've gotten it done. We've got some coaches who have 100% achievement rate, which is very impressive. And for the coach, it also shows them my stuff works.
Right.
And for coaches where it's not quite 100%, which makes up that 98.5%, right? For them, it's easy to go back and say, people aren't understanding this. Maybe we should adjust this a little bit. So we kind of take a place of two things. We fulfill your programs, and then we become kind of a consultant on your program to show you how to improve it so that people want it and they have to have it. How we do that is by showing them people are struggling with this. Maybe we should work on this a little bit. And then they readjust in their program. The next time it sells, we bring that person through and go, look, they didn't struggle at all. They got it. They've got it down. So we help amplify their programs, and then we duplicate their abilities.
With that accountability program, was there any, sticking points or failures that you guys learned from that you guys made adjustments to?
Oh yeah. We started out pushing mastermind groups. That was our biggest failure. Actually, I've got a couple big failures.
Yeah.
But that was one of them. We tried to push this mastermind group in an industry who knows mastermind groups. And they thought, well, why are you the expert? I'm not the expert. I'm the expert here, not you. I'm not going to pay you to come run mastermind groups. So it was a big failure. I'll tell you, for about a year and a half, we saw zero business.
Wow.
We had a couple individuals in smaller mastermind groups, but it wasn't the market we were trying to reach, and we weren't making any money. There was $0 coming in because nobody wanted that. And it's funny how we bumped into a coach down the road who said, you know what is more interesting than your mastermind groups? It's the accountability behind your mastermind groups. We said, it's funny that we almost deliver a very similar product than what we did then. It's the way we message, or the messaging behind it, and how that little switch in the messaging all of a sudden turned it. And it was that little tipping point. So now what we say is we're an accountability company. We assign accountability partners, which we did at the beginning with the mastermind groups. We assign accountability partners to follow up with your program and help you fulfill your goals. And as an addition, we can also put these guys into a mastermind group on your program. And now all of a sudden coaches left and right, I mean, we're getting hit up constantly by individuals saying, this is what I'm looking for. This is exactly what I'm looking for. Same product, different messaging.
I love that you guys had that self-awareness and that kind of mindset to say, you know what, let me listen to this guy and then at least let's explore it. If, you know, a lot of companies, especially, you know, newer companies are like, listen, you don't understand what we're doing. You don't get it. Like this is what we're doing. One day you'll see we're right. And I'm glad you guys at least took the time to stop and say, is there something here and can we adjust? That's beautiful.
You know, what I love about that too, and I think another point within that, it's one thing to change your market. A lot of your market is determined by who you are. It's that purpose, right? Mm-hmm. The reason why I do this is to benefit this market. And it's one thing to change your market, which, you know, I won't lie to you, we've definitely done that, but we've stuck in that same realm. Yeah. But it's another thing to listen to your market and change your product. Mm-hmm. You know, so for a lot of people who are that stubborn person, we go, no, this is our market and this is the product and this is what we're going to deliver. And they end up not listening to their customers and they end up not having a successful business and they go downhill pretty quick. Yeah. It's another thing to say, no, this is my market. This is who I want to influence, but I need to learn what kind of product they need.
Yes.
And then it's taking in all that information and delivering a product that actually suits that market. And that way it's kind of a win-win. Yes. That way you're not really changing everything about your business. Right. You're not getting shut down by this idea of, you know, your business can't be successful because, you know, one person in your or who you're trying to market says, no, it doesn't really work for us. Instead, you just, it's just that little tiny paradigm shift of, you know, I can still please that market, which is ultimately who I wanted to serve at the beginning. Right. But I just got to change my message a little or my product a little because it's not what they need yet.
I love it. That's beautiful. And that's something you know, I do coaching as well. And so that's something that it's tough to implement and keep following up that accountability. And that's really the key to success is when you have that accountability, because a majority of the population, they need that external accountability to keep them accountable, and implementing that is hard. But when you do and you get that, that's where the success is really great. And I'm sure that's why you guys are getting those 98% success rates. That's just amazing. And what a great, I love how you guys have just, you know, really brought in this little element that creates so much change and is helping this other industry. And you guys are serving so much people together and creating a lot of change with that service.
Yeah, and thank you. And I'll tell you a big reason why. Now, I told you how one of our goals now is to influence 1 billion people.
Yeah.
Initially, we were trying to get individuals into our accountability program. We still take them. We still have individuals who, you know, like a real estate agent who's like, well, I want your services. Right. And we say yes. But it's not necessarily our focus. And I think that was one of the big mistakes we made at the beginning is we were reaching out to the coaches and mentors and speakers saying, come join our mastermind groups and we want to hold you accountable. But that was going to take a long time to fulfill our goal of influence 1 billion people and to fill a building full of accountability partners who help people. Instead, we had this just, you know, we could, without being blasphemic, come to Jesus moment where I was like, oh my gosh, oh yeah, like there it is. Thank you for that vision and putting it in my mind, you know, but in front of my eyes. But what it was to influence those people and to influence the masses. Why are we trying to reach out to the individuals when there's already hundreds of thousands of wonderful coaches and speakers who are already influencing the masses? Yeah. What if we helped them? What if we help them reach out to more people and make a greater impact on the people that they are helping? And that's how we reach out to the masses. Now, we're not for every coach. There's a lot of great coaches out there who say, no, I really want to do it ourselves. You know, I want to do it myself. I know the program and I want to be the one communicating with them. Or maybe they already have people holding their people accountable. Great. That's wonderful. We're not for you guys. We're for the people who truly want to figure out how to amplify their programs. We're for the people who want to duplicate themselves, or for the people who just are very curious to know what kind of results would yield from having accountability partners, which is something they never tried before. So, I mean, we have that group of people who are looking for the business and who want the business, but the stuff works. That accountability it works. And I'm grateful for every moment leading up to where we are now, because now we do have these coaches who are coming on board who allow us to affect the masses while helping this individual see greater results for themselves and to go out and help more people. So it's a very passionate project we've been working on for a couple of years. And I think, can I tell you the most exciting thing for me?
Absolutely.
And I apologize.
No. Please bring it all. I think this is great for people.
I think the most exciting thing for myself to see, and for my business partner, Brian Hubbard, to see, and our team, Emily Eads, John Kovach, Ryan Fritzsche, my brother, and all of us in our offices here, it's to see the reports at the end of the week. It's to ask those questions, those simple questions of, did you achieve this? Did you do this? I mean, we customize that based on the coach, right? And what the coach wants to see. But, how is this working for you? Have you, rate yourself on 1 to 10 on how much more confident you are this week than you were last week? Like little stuff like that, right? But it's sending out those questions and seeing individuals come back and say, my life is changing. I'm getting stuff done. I'm seeing results. I'm making more money. I am more confident. It's seeing the responses come in and flood in of people who are truly improving their lives. Because to us, that means we did our job of saying, we know who you want to be. We support who you want to be. Let us help you get where you want to be, and watch these people come in and say, guys, I'm getting to where I want to be. I think that's been the most heartfelt thing for this business. And it's the one thing. I had an individual ask me a couple weeks ago, what's going to keep you doing this for the rest of your life? And to me, that's it. That is it right there, is seeing the wave of people come in saying, I am getting to be who I want to be. And
then to me, when I hear you say that, like, I think back to what you went through. If you had something or someone like that, that would have been just a world of difference in your own life. And then you doing that for other people, I just can't imagine the beautiful emails and success stories you guys get just must bring you guys to tears on a weekly basis.
Absolutely. It does. And I'll tell you, I think if I were to go back, and if I were to have done anything different in those times where I was angry, where I was sad, where I was unhappy, it would be let people know, because people really do care about you.
Yes.
And if you keep it inside, it gets worse.
Yes.
Law of attraction, you become what you think about most of the time. If you think about being sad, you're going to be sad. Happiness to me is a choice. So yes. Success is very relative. Success isn't cars, fame, money. No. Success is being happy in here, having that inner peace where the rest of the world seems almost quiet, right? All the chaos in the world is quiet because you are confident in who you are. But it starts out, especially for those individuals, and I'll tell you right now, there's, in our community up here, there's been several suicides in the past year. And if I were to go back to any one of those individuals and just offer one little piece of advice, it'd be tell someone. Let someone know how you are feeling right now, because people really do want to help.
Yeah. I like to try and preach that message too. You guys out there listening, if you think you need help, please go get help. It's not nothing to be ashamed of. Reach out. There's plenty of things out there. There's suicide prevention lines. There's all kind of things. They're a lot, so accessible. Please, get the help. It's not a big deal. You're not a lesser person, really. I'd like to shift gears a little bit here. I was researching a little bit. I noticed you wrote a book. Why did you write a book? What was that about?
Funny story. So Positivity, The Powerful Beginning is the book that I wrote. And it's all centered around this. And it actually wasn't even from my own story. I share a little glimpse of my story, but I wanted to put it off on others. I was actually, I went over and I lived in Missouri and Arkansas for a little bit, and I did some service there with a large group. And I was a leader in that group, and I started seeing a lot of individuals who wanted to go home. They didn't feel, like they were benefiting at all from the service that they were giving, and it was hard for these individuals. And I would ask them, some of their struggles that they were going through. And then I would ask them what sort of wins they would have. And what I started to notice is that they had wins that should overcome a lot of the negative stuff that was going on in their lives at that situation. But they didn't see it that way. The negatives, the small, tiny little losses that they had, like going and saying hi to someone who said, I don't want to talk to you kind of stuff, how that would outweigh the great, wonderful things that were happening. So positivity, the powerful beginning is taking people through a paradigm shift of how you perceive the world and how you see value within yourself and the rest of this world. So it actually is a two-piecer. It comes in a book, and then it comes with a little journal. And the journal, basically, every single day you wake up to a new affirmation. It runs you through that. And it's so simple. It's the funniest thing. You literally write down every single positive thing that happens to you, whether it's someone smiles at you to, something great and wonderful happens, a miracle happens. And in that group, in that community where I was helping out and giving service, I put out a challenge to everyone that I was leading. And it was to write that down and report back to me every single day. And what I started to see was individuals started out with, I had 2 good things that happened to me today. After about a couple weeks, all of a sudden it became a competition, and I had people reporting back 300 good things that happened to them every single day. Their service went up. The number of people they helped went up. Every number that you can, formulate, it all went up because these people saw themselves in a different light. And I've actually had a lot of those individuals who've reached out to me afterwards and say, you changed my life. Just that little bit. I still do it to this day, and it changed my life. So that's what inspired that book. And it goes into some of those details on how to make some of those transitions, which is a lot of stuff that we talk about here today. So, yeah.
That's beautiful. Man, coming from that place of gratitude, it will change your life. Absolutely change your life. I get asked all the time, you will pull up something, especially on a Monday morning, it's like, oh, hey, how you doing? I know it's Monday. And it's like, how, I'm like, I woke up, I'm good. I have a car. I have money to be here buying stupidly expensive coffee. I was like, nothing can be better. Like, everything from the rest of the day is good. Like, people don't wake up this morning. I woke up. Everything else is gravy. I'm good. Like, nothing can, take me down. It's just so amazing when you just come from that place and kind of shift for thinking to gratitude.
Can I put in a plug for an individual?
Yeah.
I would suggest anybody and everybody needs to go look up Bob Cattell. Okay. He's a internationally renowned speaker. He was on stage with Tony Robbins last week. He's that kind of speaker, but he speaks on From Panic to Peace. And he talks about how he overcame anxiety and depression and even thoughts of suicide to having now a peaceful life. He used to be this angry individual where someone would cut him off and he's, using every word in the book and, trying to run that person off the road, to now he's just at peace with himself. And one thing he talks about is that everything in your past and everything in your future, especially a lot of things that influence anxiety, they're all movies that are in your head. Yep. You cannot touch the future. You cannot touch the past. Although the past may affect where you are now, you cannot touch it. Right. But a lot of us build up this anxiety on constantly thinking about what happened to us in the past or what's going to happen to us in the future. And that's what creates a lot of sadness and anxiety for a lot of people. But if you can just accept the outcome, no matter what happens, and that's what we'll talk about, is just be okay. No matter what happens, you're going in on a sales call. Be okay if they say no. Right. Be okay if they say yes. But no matter what happens at that point, it's no different than where you are now. So just be okay with it. And then stop playing it in your mind. It's just a movie. It's not real. And that helped me tremendously in all of this. And I'll tell you, there's nothing greater than to go through a time where, bankruptcy is on the table, where you're trying to figure out, do I have to sell my house? Do I have to sell my cars? How am I going to take care of my own family? How am I going to take care of the 6, 7, 8 employees that you have at the time, right?
Right.
Their families, because they're relying on you too. And in the back of your mind, you're going, I'm going to step back and say, it's a great feeling to know if I have to go file for bankruptcy, to make sure that the money that's coming in isn't paying me, but it's paying the families, those around me, them going and keep them afloat. And you're okay with that. And it feels good. And you'd rather yourself go through that kind of, process rather than let go of your people just so you can survive. It's places like that where it feels really good to know I'm okay. And I think that's a whole nother level of gratitude and appreciation for the good things around you, when you can take a look at such a negative situation that you could put yourself in and go, you know what? at least these other people are supported and they can continue living their lives. And for me, I'll figure it out and I'll make it work. But right now, I'm happy. I'm great. I'm in a situation where I can feel good. When you get to that point, I think you're at a whole nother level. And I'll tell you that that is something that we've gone through recently and we've climbed out of and are now, doing great again. But it's stuff like that really changes you as a person and takes you to the next level, especially as the entrepreneur. I feel like it's the entrepreneurial dream to go through something like that.
Yeah.
Because you have that story to tell later, right?
Right. And the good thing about that is, in my experiences and things I've seen and read and stuff, you create these fiercely loyal employees that are like, no matter what's happening, my job isn't on the chopping block every week.
Yep.
And they're so much more secure, and they're willing to, kind of throw down themselves and really pour their hearts into the company because they know you're going to take care of them. You really create a great culture like that.
I think culture is one of the most important things. I've watched too many people, especially in my own family, where I'm going to call them, they're getting burned by cancerous cells. I'm going to call them cancerous cells within the organization. It's,
right.
Everyone from the leaders to their bosses. And I'm telling you that is a current family situation right now where I have a family member who's in that situation where every single day I feel like I get a phone call of the individual I don't know what to do. I'm so frustrated. And those cultures will destroy a business. And I look at the results of those businesses and go, it's no wonder you guys aren't doing as well as you could. Because you don't have that culture. But when you develop that culture within of people who trust you, they see your vision, they get excited about your vision because it means greater opportunities for them. Now you have people who want to work for you.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
Great office environment.
Absolutely. No, that's good. Guys, listen, that makes a huge difference. People aren't scared of losing their job every day. They can focus on their job and serving and being their best self day in and day out every day. And speaking of day, what does a typical day look like for you that really, if you kind of hit a few key points, you really win the day? What does something like that look for you? You have a morning routine you're into, or what kind of things are you into?
I will tell you that in the morning, if I don't read at all, now this is just me, it's not for everyone, but if I don't read, I feel affected the rest of the day. I feel like the rest of the day is off. So that's a part of my morning routine. I have to get up. I have to read. I have to have one glass of water. And if I read, this is funny, but if I read, I actually reward myself. I still like watching shows. I feel like a lot of high performance individuals, don't necessarily like watch TV and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. For me, I love rewarding myself after reading a good book, taking, some notes in my journal. When I'm in the shower, it's so funny. I have a makeshift TV stand where I put my phone up there and I'll watch just a short show, whether it's a documentary or it's like Friends, right, on Netflix. But I'll do it for just that, I take longer showers, 10 to 15 minutes in the shower. And I feel good about going out the rest of the day. I've learned something. I've grown myself by at least 1% more mentally. And then I've given myself a mental break before I'm now about to go crank it. So then I get in and I actually hired a high performance coach. Her name is Camilla Craigius, I believe is how you pronounce her last name, but she was awesome. She was awesome for me. And what she had me do is time out some periods where my performance is at a peak. So those moments throughout the day where you just feel so motivated to get stuff done, start keeping track of that stuff because you'll start to notice that it goes in waves and consistent. So between about 8 o'clock when I show up, by the way, I show up with my daughter at the office, which I love. While my wife's coaching cheer, I get to be with my daughter for about an hour and a half to start every day. And from 8 o'clock till about 11 o'clock is where my peak performance is up. And I start to dip down when I get hungry.
Right.
So I'll do my lunch, and that's where I'll start looking at emails. I don't really like to look at emails until about that time unless it's something important like us connecting.
Right.
So I'll check emails, I'll answer texts, I'll get on phone calls between about 11 to about 1:30, and that's when I start to go back up on that upshift. And then that's when I'll start really connecting and taking part in sales. I'll make sales calls and do all that stuff till about 3:30, 4 o'clock, to where it dips down again and I start relaxing. That's where we'll do a lot of our own little meetings, and I'll say goodbye to everyone else, and then it picks back up and I'll take care of everything else I need to afterwards. And then at about 7 o'clock consistently is when I get home, and then the rest of that time is with my daughter and with my wife. So, and then I'll do any other work later on in the evening if I really need to after their sleep.
That's beautiful. I've never heard somebody reading. That's great. How long do you spend reading in the morning? 15, 30 minutes? What does that look like?
Typically 30 minutes.
Okay.
30 minutes to an hour. It depends. Like I told you before, I've gotten into speed reading where actually for a while it was reading one book a day, and I did that every single day this year for about 200 so days, which is pretty recent. And then I was actually challenged by another individual I started to notice that all these books that I was speed reading had very similar principles, very similar concepts, and it was hard to learn something new because we started telling the same thing.
Confirmation bias. It's just the same thing over and over.
Yeah, definitely. Now, each one has their own stories and everything else, which are unique, but the purpose of speed reading is to get past those and to get right to the point and to apply the point. Right. I started to notice they were the same, so I actually stumbled. There's a guy who lives in my neighborhood. He challenged me to read a book by Nassim
Taleb.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. And it was Black Swan and it was Anti-Fragile.
Oh, Anti-Fragile, one of my favorites. Oh, yeah.
Right. So, and what, my favorite part about that book is I cannot speed read it, which is great. It breaks my cycle. And now what it allows me to do is rather than read a book in 30 minutes, I take 30 minutes to try to analyze a couple, 2, 3, 4, 5 pages.
Yes.
To really figure out what he's saying, because I want to be on that level. Yeah.
You can't speed read past Fat Tony's little things. You got to really dig into what Fat Tony's talking about.
Right. Yep.
That's funny. What other books, other than, Napoleon Hill, has helped you on your journey, whether it was when you were in that dark place or up until today?
A great question. I've got so many lists of books, that have really helped me. I think if I were to take a startup, build your business book, Mad Genius, and I'm struggling. I'm actually going to look it up because he deserves the credit. Mad Genius was written by,
and we'll link that in the show notes for everybody that they want to check it out.
Randy Gage.
Okay.
Randy Gage. His book is, I think it takes some of the things that you need to do in a whole different light. Like he adds in perspectives that nobody else really talks about. And I love it for that. And it's very simple. It's not like a complicated, overdrawn out story after story after story on one principle. It's here's a principle, here's a story. Let's move on to the next principle of what you need to do to build your business the right way. And it's Mad Genius, a manifesto for entrepreneurs. And I love that book. I still think Think and Grow Rich is a fantastic one. High Performance Habits, Brendan Burchard.
Brendan Burchard, yeah.
That's a great one to really get you into that, into the high performing habits, right? I think Relentless by Tim S. Grover, that's a really feel good. It's a really motivational one that talks about who you need to be in here to create success for yourself. I love that one, Relentless, from Tim S. Grover. He was the personal trainer for Michael Jordan, for Kobe Bryant, and some of those guys. So, he has some awesome.
I'm going to have to put these on my list. I haven't heard of a couple of these. I'm going to have to put these on my list. Thanks for the recommendations.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel free to hit me up anytime and I'll gladly send them over. I will.
I seen you also, you guys have like a little book box thing. I really like that. That was interesting. Had some good books in there.
Yeah. Millionaire Briefcase. That was actually, let's talk about, I won't talk long, but there's
please go ahead.
Failures that we were hoping would be very successful.
Yeah.
And I'm glad we did it. What Millionaire Briefcase was, if you've ever heard of Mentor Box.
Yeah.
We were trying to deliver content from books in a quick to read, very applicable version of what Mentor Box was doing. Mentor Box is great where they bring in authors to kind of run down their books and talk about their books. And I think that's fantastic. What we were doing is we were taking that whole book, we were putting them down, breaking them down into different applicable processes that you need to apply immediately. And then we were tailoring them towards your industry. So if you were, anywhere from real estate to network marketing, we said, here's the principle from this book that applies to you and how you're going to apply it. And it was a monthly subscription of that we attempted to do. We've actually gotten it into a couple different network marketing companies. And that has been very successful. We now have some different stuff that we can just put into those systems immediately. That, you know, we charge them a licensing fee to print it out as many as they want to, or to just deliver it via, you know, ebook. But we've stepped aside from that, even though that's another passion of mine because I love reading so much. We've stepped aside from that and to focus on what we're currently doing. But we're working on some relationships with a guy named Chip Hopper. He owns the book or bookjedi.com, and he does different reviews and everything else on those books. And we're developing a partnership to where we can provide some of our content into his system. So that'll be in the future. So,
well, some good things to look forward to.
Yeah.
And then where can people find more about you and what you're up to, Matt? Where's a good place for people to get a hold of you on social or on the internet in general?
Yeah. I don't mind if people hit me up personally. I really like personal connections, and I like to get right to the source as long as they're not sending me spam, but that's easy to get rid of. I mean, you can hit me up anytime you want at Matt, M-A-T-T, at amplifiedminds.com, and that's AMPLIFIEDMINDS.com. You can find me on Instagram, Matt_Achiever, and you can find me on Facebook, just Matt Fritzsche. My last name is Fritzsche. Anytime you want to, go look up amplifiedminds.com.
Okay.
Of course, that's my passion project. Intra-Entrepreneur.shop, that's my other passion project. And I want to make sure that's INTRA-preneur.shop. Or you can reach us if anyone ever needs processing for their business from high risk to low risk. We've got the best solutions. We have solutions called cash discount programs where we can literally take the processing off of you and put it on the customer. So when the customer has to pay an additional 50 cents, sometimes it doesn't matter to them, but it saves you thousands of dollars sometimes in processing fees. We have the ability to do that. If you're a high risk business, you know, high ticket items to you're susceptible to chargebacks. We have all the solutions in the world, especially for coaches, speakers, nutraceutical type companies, even crazy stuff like hemp and CBD to gun sales to furniture sales. We can get it all set up. And you can find that at accessmss.com. And that's every plug of mine.
Good. I want to make sure people want to connect with you and what you're up to on I'm going to give an opportunity, and we'll have all those in the show notes for you guys there. And then Matt, here on my show, we'd like to do a weekly challenge, and Matt, I'd like to give you the opportunity to do this week's challenge.
I love it. I love that. And I think that the challenge this week, and you know, I have to tell everyone that I kind of prepped a little bit for this challenge, because to us, it's all about the action that you take. And really the challenge is to begin to change the environment around you with the lifestyle that you want to live. So for us, I think the challenge would be take a look at those 10 people you know you want to get in contact with that will make a difference in your life. Reach out to them, be transparent, and ask for their help.
Amazing. Matt, thank you so much for being on here today. I really do appreciate your time. Is there anything we didn't get to you wanted to make sure people had got to hear?
I think that's it, Tyson. I appreciate what you're doing. This is wonderful, and to give people like me an opportunity to share my story and hopefully make a difference. If nobody reaches out to me, I at least got to tell my story and hopefully gave a little piece of how I got through it, and hopefully it inspires someone down the road. So
it's been so much fun. I really love to do this again and learn a little bit more about you. Like I said, thank you so much for being here, and everybody, thanks for being here today. I really appreciate your guys' time. What a great interview with Matt. Thank you so much, Matt. I really do appreciate you being on. And as always, guys, August giveaway for you're listening to this, and we're still in the month of August. We're doing $50 for Amazon for back to school. You guys can head over to the socialchameleon.show/pickme and get entered for your chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card. And wow, what a great episode, Matt. Like I said, thank you so much for being on. Listen, guys, if you can relate with Matt and you're in that dark place and you're having thoughts of harming yourself or others, please do. Reach out to somebody, reach out to the suicide hotline or whatever. I'll put the number up here for that. It's not the end. You can see, you hear Matt's story. He was there. Everybody around him was telling him how he couldn't do it. And man, he's changed that around. He's really in a great place, and he's helping people out. And that can be you guys too. Don't let other people's limitations become, yours. That's theirs. Let them have theirs. You do what you want to do. It's not too late ending your life or somebody else is harming other people isn't the answer. But I hope you guys got a lot from this interview. I really, really enjoyed Matt. And if you guys want to check out what he's up to, make sure you guys head over to the social community show and check out him and the things he's up to. If this episode is a help to you, and I'd like you guys to share it with at least 2 other people that you think it could help. If you'd like to support the show by investing in yourself and your education and your future, head over to our Patreon page and become a Patreon if you think we've earned it. In between shows, you can connect with us at the Social Chameleon show on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And you can also subscribe on YouTube and all your favorite podcast apps like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all kind of other places along those lines. If you listen to the podcast version, I'd really like if you guys left a review so the show can help more amazing people just like you. For past episodes and everything we've talked about here today, you guys can head over to socialchameleon.show. And until next time, keep learning, growing, and transforming into the person you want to become.